Ghostwire Tokyo has finally launched after being announced nearly 3 years ago. The next game from the immensely talented team at Tango Gameworks in Japan has received fairly decent critical reception, currently sitting at a solid 79 for the PC version on Metacritic. The game also currently sits at an 82% very positive user score on the Steam page, so it's safe to say that the game has landed well with the gaming community at large. I've put almost 12 hours into Ghostwire Tokyo by the time of this writing, battling supernatural visitors, rescuing lost spirits, and completing side quests, and just exploring and enjoying the somber and haunting sights of a meticulously recreated Tokyo. I've been thoroughly enjoying my time with the game, but there have been valid criticisms levied against the game's design. The combat is very flashy, but also does not have an incredible amount of depth. The open world is filled with collectibles and can often feel like a retread of the Ubisoft-style open world framework that we've seen copied for the past decade. The story is by no means a masterpiece thus far, and the game elicits very few scares, if any, and truly tries to strike a more unsettling tone than that of Tango's prior work with the two Evil Within titles. Despite all of this though, the amount of passion, care, and love that went into recreating a true-to-life Tokyo, and the attention to detail and respect given to Japanese culture and mythology make this a game that, in my opinion, stands out from many of its contemporaries in the open-world genre. Ghostwire Tokyo won't be winning any Game of the Year awards, but I certainly believe that it will end up being one of the best sleeper hits of 2022, and in this video I hope to be able to show you just a few of the reasons why you should play Ghostwire Tokyo. The story of Ghostwire Tokyo goes as follows. You play as a young man named Akito who is fatally wounded in a car crash in the middle of the Shibuya Scramble, one of the busiest traffic intersections in the world. Akito is revived, however, by way of spiritual possession. The spirit that enters Akito's body is an enigmatic character by the name of KK, who gifts Akito with supernatural abilities known as ethereal weaving. Just as Akito wakes from the crash, a massive wave of fog covers the entire city, and all humans caught in the fog vanish, leaving only their clothes and worldly possessions behind. A man wearing a Hanya mask appears on the TV screens and announces his intentions to steal the souls of the city's inhabitants, while leaving his dark army of otherworldly creatures to roam the streets, capturing any lost spirits they may find. Akito and KK team up to not only save what remains of Tokyo, but also Akito's sister Mari, who has been taken captive by the masked villain and his cultist followers. The story, at least thus far, has managed to hold my attention, with even a few twists thrown in for good measure. It's not revolutionary by any means, but I find myself laughing often at Akito and KK's hilarious exchanges about their lives and about their experience sharing a body, which is a testament to how well written they are. I don't want to discuss the story too much more in order to avoid spoilers, so we'll move on to the gameplay. The gameplay, I think, is what really sets this game apart from other open world games. It's a first-person action game, but you use elemental powers instead of guns to fight the supernatural threat. KK's full arsenal of ethereal weaving, featuring attacks based on air, water, and fire, are at your disposal, and they are all incredibly fun to use and visually spectacular to behold, with a wide range of particle effects and bright colors. Each power serves a different purpose in combat. Wind is your rapid-fire attack that does excellent single-target damage. Water is your shotgun equivalent, firing in a wide spread that can hit multiple enemies at once. Fire is your missile launcher, and it allows you to pretty much one-shot most smaller enemies with a single lance attack, or damage multiple enemies with a fireball fireball that causes a grenade-like explosion. In addition to these powers, you also have a bow, which is perfect for silent takedowns from a distance, alongside talismans, which can be used to stun, distract, or hide from enemies, which opens up even more gameplay avenues during combat. The combat actually reminds me quite a bit of Doom Eternal, coincidentally another Bethesda title where you are constantly quick-swapping to different weapons to effectively attack the wide variety of enemies. It's no small coincidence then that one of the combat designers from id Software who worked on Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, Shinichiro Hara, had a very important role to play in making sure Ghostwire's moment-to-moment action felt tight and responsive. And that's really the key ingredient here. The gameplay is just straight up fun. I've never been bored during any of the numerous combat encounters, and I don't expect that that will change the more I play. After spending a significant amount of time with the game, I can tell you they definitely succeeded in making a smooth and fluid gameplay flow that also features excellent enemy variety. I'm pretty sure I haven't encountered all of the so-called visitors that you can fight, but the ones I've encountered thus far have definitely made me think about my approaches to combat and how to handle each foe with different powers and items. I will say though that the game, at least on normal difficulty, has a fairly severe lack of challenge for me personally. Maybe I'm just too good of a ghost hunter? Seriously though, up the difficulty to hard if you want a decent challenge on your first playthrough. What makes the enemies more interesting in this game is the fact that each one is based on negative emotions that create different dark spirits as a result. The Rainwalkers, the Slender Man type enemies for example, are created as a result of someone dying from sheer exhaustion from their work life, which is an incredibly morbid and realistic portrayal, especially if you know anything about Japan's history of citizens overworking themselves. All of the enemies you encounter are based on dark spirits from Japanese urban legend and folklore, which makes me want to read more about them in the in-game database and steep myself more deeply into the ideas and themes of Japanese culture, something that I truly wasn't expecting this game to make me want, but I'm glad it has. Your primary quest for collection in the open world will have you gathering the over 200,000 spirits scattered throughout the city. Once you collect a decent amount, you can go to a nearby phone booth to trade in the spirits for currency to buy items from shops, and also experience points to level up your character and increase the power of your abilities. In addition to this, the shops scattered around Tokyo are now manned by Nekomata, or spirit cats, which are hilariously adorable. There are also Shibas that you can find and comfort in these trying times, and they will also reward you in return. Look, Ghostwire Tokyo is getting bonus points for just letting me pet the animals, okay? What else can I really say about that? The open world is arguably the most impressive aspect of Ghostwire Tokyo. Tango Gameworks have gone to great lengths to create a vision of modern-day Tokyo that is at once dazzlingly gorgeous and quiet as the grave. In fact, because all of Tokyo's citizens disappeared in the blink of an eye, the environmental storytelling here really shines. People's clothes are left where they last stood. Some of them were simply enjoying a meal on a nearby bench. Some were simply walking down the sidewalk. Others still were driving their vehicles or playing music from the nearby shops. Cars are still warm and running, music still plays, but there is not a single human alive to see in Tokyo. It creates an incredibly unsettling atmosphere that, while evoking some aspects of the evil within games, stands on its own and separates itself from Tango's prior experience with traditional horror in an intriguing way. The art and level design in Ghostwire Tokyo is second to none, and really helps to craft a sense of place, and it immerses you further into the experience as a result. The way in which you interact with the open world, though, is a different story. There are a wide variety of items and collectibles to grab, alongside a litany of side quests to complete, and even though it reminds reminds me of many of Ubisoft's recent open world games, I personally have yet to be bored of exploring every nook and cranny to see what this vision of Tokyo has to offer. The game can devolve into a collectathon of sorts in many ways, so Ghostwire Tokyo will certainly not be a game for everyone, but I find myself enjoying each aspect of the game even after 12 hours of playtime, so take that for what you will. Quite honestly, the thing that sticks with me the most about Ghostwire Tokyo is just how simple it is in its overall design and structure, and while some may find it to be boring and repetitive, I personally am finding the beauty in the game's simplicity. Most AAA games nowadays have so many different gameplay features that seem so unnecessary when you really boil it down, and it's really refreshing to see a game in the AAA space that eschews much of the design tropes of today's industry. Many people will look at Ghostwire Tokyo and see a very dull and by-the-numbers open-world action game, but what I see is a game created with true passion by the developers at Tango Gameworks, who are very slowly becoming one of my favorite studios to watch in the future. The Evil Within 1 and 2 are excellent survival horror games, but I admire Tango Gameworks and Shinji Mikami for not wanting to be pigeonholed into one single genre and taking a chance with this game. If Ghostwire Tokyo is the first example of what a Tango game looks like when they are allowed to spread their wings, I can't wait to see what they come up with next. So these are some of my rough thoughts and ideas that I wanted to put out as soon as possible about my experience thus far with Ghostwire Tokyo, but now I want to know what you think in the comments down below. There are undoubtedly things about the game that I forgot to mention here in this video, so sound off and let's discuss. Have you played Ghostwire Tokyo yet? Are you enjoying the game like I am, or are you more aligned with many of the critic reviews for the game? Are you excited to see a potential sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, or whatever Tango may be working on next? Leave a like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing to the channel for more awesome content like this, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. And remember that the outsider walks among us. Thanks for watching, everyone.